Hello, and welcome to the War of the Pacific, where it is the 16th of March, 1942, in the Wirraway versus Encircled, play-by-mail campaign. We missed Leander there. The usual bombardments. I wonder how the population of Ceylon would have felt with all the Royal Navy naval bombardments. F. Let's see what happens in the air, since not much happened at sea. Um, some expensive torpedoes launched to no effect. Sonia's slowing down the retreat of the British forces and Chinese forces driven out of Mandalay. Sally's bombing troops at Yenin. Some preparatory strikes. Looks like he didn't. Thought he had some ships in port at Miri, but he did not, or we missed him. Sally's giving the retreating Chinese out of Urumqi, keeping their heads down, slowing their movement. So he is hitting my troops at Nagpur, and his usual punching bag, the 56 Recon Regiment. Lots of cap and sweeping hurricanes show up late over Jaffna. Not that I would try to jump anything in there. V-17's carpet bombing. I know in the comments some of you were worried about the ability of the Allies to destroy the Japanese army in the open. They can, but not this early in the campaign. The bigger issue in India isn't actually his Air Force at this moment. It's a flood of American units that would normally be in the Pacific or going to Australia. They're all in India. Strategically, I don't think it's bad. talked about it, I think, in the last couple of videos that he's been able to rush enough American units into India that there will be no quick victory in India. Uh, there may not even be a slow victory in India. It does not mean uh, any sort of decisive strategic advantage yet for him. Again, I define a strategic objective as something that dramatically improves your ability to compete, succeed. Holding India for him is a strategic objective, uh, but not taking India at this point isn't a critical issue in the long term war. Winning in China is. If you can win in China, you can free up 10,000 AV. Just for comparison, right now, the mass of our forces is about 2,400 AV here at Nagpur. That gives you a sense of scale, how important the Chinese campaign is. And in order to win China, you have to win in Burma and cut off any flow of supply. Okay, pretty quiet turn. We will take a look at what happened at Nagpur here. Let's just check in. Nothing unusual in the air. Do our quick around the world. Nothing particularly unusual going on in the Aleutians. Not sure why Attu hasn't flipped. As far as I can tell, he has no troops there. Okay, in China. So closing in on Lanchao. This is Urumqi's a sideshow, but it's largely wrapped up. Looks like we're ready to force the river here, which again will give us our freedom of maneuver as we drive towards Quellen through the ×2 terrain instead of the ×3 terrain. And we talked about before, we already have our river crossing here. So once we wrap up our Lanchao campaign, then we'll attempt to pierce here. And our Xi'an airfield is building up. Let's check and see how we're doing here. I want that really as large as possible uh, to support these operations. In the Philippines, just resting our units, recovering squads. Again, there's no real rush here as long as we can keep supplies from flowing in. And we use this as a training ground for our home island divisions. We will start prepping these units for Clark. It's like they are trained up almost. So what I've been doing is, because of their prep, letting them train up to the national maximum, and then I'll flip them over to Clark, rail them to Nagasaki, and then ship them to the Philippines. It's actually I used the 7th Division 2 and some of the remaining poorly trained or mediocre divisions from Manchukuo. They will essentially use Clark and Bataan as a training ground to get them more combat effective, as including the Naval Guard units. So, um, they are harder to use in major battles. Okay, in Borneo, we're making our move on Parakan and Brunei and Miri. Uh, it's a bit of a, you know, it's a pincer move, which is a overused phrase, but it happens to be accurate here. Um, we have multiple task forces converging on anywhere that there's a level 2 or level 3 airfield, the offensive capable airfields. So we'll take those simultaneously. The paratroopers have already grabbed the other bases. And once these two are in our hands, um, then there's no longer sort of multiple threats or avenues to threaten our forces as we make our final move on Balikpapan and then Samarinda. So beginning the operations to wrap up Borneo. Speaking of winning in Burma, next target here at I, I'm not even sure. I guess that's my T Kina. Um, and then we'll also close out Lido. Uh, so nothing will nothing really is flowing into China at the moment. Um, and there's signs that his units are low on supply, which is good. But from my perspective, the key to winning in China is holding Burma and the Calcutta region. And Calcutta, because of the heavy industry in and around Calcutta, is also a strategic objective for the Japanese because it provides a great deal more heavy industry uh, to support the war effort. So again, it dramatically improves or significantly improves your chance to succeed or compete. We're going to, talked about this before, we're going to get these small isolated units will be defeated in Ceylon. Uh, he may think that's the end of the fight for Ceylon. It's not. Okay, let's talk about the real issue here. We, he's been able to get 2,000 AV of, and it's not just rotten Indian troops. There are Marines, there are veteran Australians from Mid East. Uh, there are U.S. divisions. There's plenty of artillery. We can't win this fight, and he's got units on our flank. So what we're going to have to do is block this unit with the 5th Division and some artillery. And once that block is in place, begin the withdrawal. And essentially, withdrawal back to Raipur and then back into the Calcutta region, and then um, rearm, refit, and move probably along a different axis of advance. I'm going to see what's happening to our troops with the bombardment. You can take a look. Uh, Tanks in reserve aren't getting hit. 4th Division's only slightly disrupted. 21st Division unaffected. Uh, One of the heavy artillery units lost these very important 150 millimeter T-89 guns, the only thing with range, to face the British and American artillery, still in good shape. 18th Division in good shape. This AA unit's been beat up. You can see the 33rd Division. These are all, so 2nd Division is heavily disrupted, but very few actual losses. 6th Tank is in good shape. So you can see that all those air attacks while we were advancing, et cetera, have done essentially nothing to the units. The problem is he just has plenty of them. So what's going to happen is uh, over the coming weeks, we'll withdraw, rearm and refit. And while he's focused in this area, we're going to go back at Ceylon with enough combat power to take it out. We'll also take Adu. We've got units prepping for Adu. So in the end, again, the key here is between Diego Garcia, Adu, and owning Ceylon and controlling Cocos Island. There's no real effective way that he can threaten Burma coast, Thailand, uh, etc. At least not in at least not in 42 or probably 43. By 44, he can do just about anything he wants, um, depending on the status of our carriers and our Air Force. Speaking of carriers, KB is Correctives 1 and 2 are on their way to the Indian Ocean. We talked about this plan a while ago. Had to make sure he doesn't have any recon left in here, and I think we've just about done that. So we'll sneak the carriers through and make sure to suppress the airfields um, at Samarinda. So he, other than patrol aircraft, can't detect them. It's also an option, and maybe one I'll take, assuming these operations on Borneo are successful. We might slip the carriers this way because he really doesn't have anything other than a few fighters left here. And if these are all taken, um, then it may be more uh, convenient to sneak the carriers north of Borneo instead of south. Because again, I don't want them to know they're coming. Um, Meanwhile, we'll prep for that Cylon invasion. Still mopping up guerrillas in Sumatra. Okay, well that's where we are today. We're in pretty good shape in just about every theater, except there will be no quick victory in India. I look forward to our next chance to talk.